Starting tomorrow, when you go to buy a live concert ticket or you try and book a hotel or a short-term vacation rental, you may notice the prices are higher than they normally are. But it's not because of tariffs, and it's not because all of a sudden all these companies conspired together to jack up their prices. It's probably because a Federal Trade Commission rule is finally taking effect, and it says no more hidden fees. Now, this is one of those stories I have been covering since President Biden first introduced this rule as the junk fee rule back in 2022. And after all these years of moving through the rulemaking process, the FTC under President Trump is rolling the rule out on May 12th and calling it the Rule on Unfair or Deceptive Fees. Yeah, both the Trump administration and the Biden administration have agreed on something. I know, shocking, right? So how does this rule work? Well, the rule prohibits bait and switch pricing for live event tickets and short-term lodging. That goes for big websites like Ticketmaster, hotel websites, Expedia, Airbnb, but it also applies to resellers and travel agents. The rule says the total price needs to be clearly placed up front. It needs to be the predominant price you see as the consumer when you go to book a place to stay or try to buy a concert ticket. The rule says these companies can no longer hide fees like resort fees or convenience fees or transaction fees or cleaning fees at the end of the checkout prices. The only additional fees that they don't have to disclose up front are taxes, shipping costs, or additional goods or services that you as the consumer choose to add on to the same transaction. Now, I spoke with Lina Khan, the former FTC chairwoman who came up with this rule under the Biden administration and saw it through until Biden left office in January.
This rule is going to do away with those junk fees. It's going to tell companies that they have to be honest upfront about what the final price is. They can't stuff in on the back end all of these sneaky, worthless fees.
And it's also important to just make it clear, the rule doesn't say you can't be charged these fees. It just says these companies have to tell you that they're charging you these fees from jump.
That's right. They have to be honest about what the price is right at the front, rather than, this tactic that they've seen that they draw you in with a lower fee or a lower price, but then by the end, the ultimate amount you're on the hook for is dramatically inflated because of these unknown charges.
What's interesting about this rule is it's one of the very few things from the Biden administration that the Trump administration has decided to continue. And that's saying something. I also spoke with Stacey Camarano, a lawyer currently serving at the FTC under the Trump administration.
We received overwhelming support for this rule throughout the rulemaking process from thousands of commenters who submitted comments, both consumers and businesses. And then ultimately the rule was adopted with bipartisan support.
So what if you go to one of these websites tomorrow and a company is still hiding fees? Well, you can report them to the FTC and those companies will be slapped with civil penalties. While Lina Khan is optimistic that the rule is finally taking effect, she does have some reservations.
It is a good sign that, at least as of now, these rules are going to go into effect. The real question is going to be, is this FTC going to enforce the rules, or are they going to allow companies to still engage in all of these deceptive, sneaky practices, right? You can have rules on the books, but unless they're vigorously enforced, companies can still get away with it.
What do you say to those people that say this FTC they might put out the rule, but they're not going to really enforce the rules because they don't want to get on the bad side of big business?
I can't speak to our future priorities, but I think that the proof is in the pudding. When you look at the FTC's website, ftc.gov, you can see what sorts of actions the FTC is taking.
The FTC put out a really helpful FAQ about your rights as a consumer when it comes to this new rule and all the guidance you need to have if you are a small business who is now affected by this rule and need to change your website and your pricing structure. If you want the link to that FTC document or you want a link to report a business that's not complying, I'm going to email all of that out to you in tomorrow night's Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign yourself up.